Hey everyone, it's your buddy, it's your pal, Karnak, Star Wars Armada Explained. I am doing this video today. I'm feeling much better after my eye surgery. I had some LASIK done. So my eyeballs hurt a little bit just because that's just the surgery. But I think I can power through this video and get it done pretty quick. So we're going to look at the YT-2400 today. The YT-2400 is a Rebel Squadron. There are the generic version, and then we have two uniques, one of them being new from Rebellion in the Rim. So let's dive right in. So the YT-2400 is for the Rebel Alliance. You can see its symbol there in the bottom left-hand corner of the card. Its point cost is 16 points, and man, for 16 points, what an amazing card. It's considered one of the best squadrons in the game. Why is that? Well, it has, if you see there, it's a generic, so it means you can bring as many of them as you can bring squadron points, which for a standard 400-point game is 134 points in squadrons. It is speed 4. It has 6 hull. It throws 4 blue anti-squadron dice, and it throws a black die anti-ship. What makes the squadron so amazing? For 16 points, it's the opinion of many people in Armada that this squadron is slightly undercosted and maybe should have been a little bit more. The only keyword that it has is rogue, which is you can move and attack during the squadron phase. Now remember, squadrons typically need to be activated by a squadron command to move and attack. Otherwise, in the squadron phase, they can only move or attack, not both, typically. Rogue means in the squadron phase, they can either move and or slash attack in any order. So what makes them good? So with 4 blue die, they've got the die pool of an X-Wing or a TIE Interceptor. With 4 blue die, their chance of blowing up a TIE Fighter are very high. Again, because the more blue dice you're throwing, they only have 3 hull. All you have to do is just get 3 hits, which here you only got the 2, but I mean, even then it's almost dead. Oh, you see here I got the roll that I needed. Let's do it again. Again, got the roll I needed. There I didn't, but you can see there that your chances are really good of anything that's 3 health, like TIE Fighters or TIE Interceptors. You just kill them in 1 hit. And they're rogue, which means that you can wait until after activations, to then see where your opponent has a squadrons. With speed 4, they can get, so far, and then just wipe out entire squadron balls of opponents. Or even if your opponents are rebels, which still have the higher hull, 2 YTs can still knock out an X-Wing. Very likely can still knock out an X-Wing. So they're just really good. They're just, because X-Wings are 13 points, and these are 16 points. So you're paying 3 points more. You get an extra hold, you get an extra speed, and, I mean, with the black die, sure, it's not bomber. The critical symbols don't count for damage, but with a black die, 75% chance of just plinking 1 damage in on a target that's a ship. It's just really good. They're just really awesome little support ships. There are even some cases where people are super lame and they'll run 8 of them. I think you can bring 8. And it's for 8, that's maxing out your squadron points. But I mean, they're amazing. I don't recommend typically just bringing 8 of them. For one thing, you've got to buy 8, rogue and villain packs unless you can trade for them. But most people typically don't do that. I personally have 6 rogue and villain packs, but that's spaced out over years. I only buy them when they're on sale. I have 6. I see no need to get 8 of them. They're just fantastic, especially if you back them up with reroll capabilities or other squadron boosting support cards. So that's the YT-2400. It's just, and again, with 6 hull, it takes, usually 2, 3, sometimes even 4 TIE Fighters to kill 1. Usually it takes, they're just, with the high hull, especially if they're backed up by Jan Ors, they're just tough to chew through. They're just tough to kill. So that's the YT-2400. Nothing else crazy going on with them, anything else like that. Let's talk about Dash 100 Yard Smash is what I like to call him. Why do I like to call him that? Well, he's got all the same stats as a YT-2400. Again, Dash is a unique, means you can only bring 1 of them in your fleet. He costs 24 points, so, he's costs a little bit. But his ability, again, he's really good. You don't see him on the table all that often because typically you want to try to synergize your squadron balls. But if you're looking for someone who can just roll up on something and then just smash the crap out of it, Dash can do that. Why is that? Well, he gets not only rogue, he gets double braces too for his defense. Again, makes him super survivable. Compare him to like somebody like Merrick Steele, they're about the same. He also gets bomber, which makes that black die, which, you know, if he rolls a hit crit, it's dealing 2 damage. His card ability reads, while attacking, you may reroll 1 die for each enemy ship or enemy squadron at distance 1. This means he's always guaranteed a reroll when attacking something. In the case of attacking the enemy ship, if you rolled a blank black, guess what? You just reroll it, and 75% of the time, you reroll that blank back into damage. Or if you just want to fish for that hit crit, you definitely can. I've seen some players back up his ability with Bomber Command Center just to try to fish for those hit crits. Or even if he's attacking a squadron, let's say that if he gets engaged, or if you roll up and engage 2 TIE fighters, his ability is you may reroll 1 die for each enemy ship or squadron at distance 1. So for example, these TIE fighters trying to do their job, protect the ship, well, you can roll up, as long as you're at distance 1 of the ship and both these TIE fighters, you can re-roll 3 of your blue die when attacking a squadron. So let's say you roll your 4 and like, oh man, I didn't kill anything. Well, guess what? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I can re-roll those accuracies and these critical symbols. And oh man, I just killed that TIE fighter. It turned an attack that otherwise would have done very little into, okay, now I just killed your squadron. That is the power of Dash. Again, you don't see him on the table too often anymore, just because, again, people like to synergize their squadron abilities, and he doesn't really fit with any synergy. What some people will like to do, though, if they're looking to run like a light squadron screen, Dash is great for a squadron screen. Light or medium. Like, you're looking for more reactive, protect your ships and try to snipe out like the critical 1 or 2 enemy squadrons that are tying their ball together, rather than you're using him in an offensive capability. And then if your opponent doesn't bring any squadrons, he's still very capable of running and chasing down ships and blasting them apart. So that's the power of Dash. That's why people will bring Dash or not bring Dash. Strategies vary. Let's cover the new squadron from Rebellion in the Rim. We're going to talk about Mart Mattin and Sato's Hammer. Again, he's unique. You can bring one of them in your fleet. He's cheaper than Dash, but I would argue his ability is even more powerful. He's 22 points. Again, all the same stats. Instead of having Bomber, though, he has Grit, which Grit is you're not prevented from moving while you're engaged by only 1 squadron. So if somebody just sends just 1 TIE fighter like, hey, I'm going to tie you up, Mart can be like, nope, I'm out, see you later. That's the power of Grit. I love Grit. I think Grit is an undervalued keyword by a lot of players. A lot of people underestimate its ability. But what is Mart's card ability? Again, he still throws the 4 blue anti-squadron dice. He still throws the black anti-ship die. His ability reads, at the start of the squadron phase, you may toggle your activation slider to the activated side. If you do, you may place 1 proximity mine token at distance 1. What are proximity mine tokens? So I have I know it's long, it's a half-hour long video that covers proximity mines. Go watch that video if you want to understand every single little nuance, because I'm not going to go over a half-hour long video again in this video. I'm going to cover some aspects. I'm going to do it quickly, but if you want to know the intricacies or the why of why these things are allowed, go watch my proximity mines video. Okay, there's a couple things we need to cover with Mart. So what does his special ability do? Again, at the start of the squadron phase. So at the start of the squadron phase, let's say that you know, he's in a position in front of a ship, or rather, let's just cover what his ability is. Doesn't matter where, you know, if he's on the board at the start of the squadron phase, you can say, you know what, I'm going to toggle his activation slider, and then if I do that, I get to take a proximity mine token, and I can place that at distance 1 of him. So you bring up the range band, the black circle is distance 1, again, you can place that at distance 1, for example, like that, and boom, that's his ability in a nutshell. That's what he's allowed to do. He's allowed to place proximity mine tokens down. So the question then becomes, how can you leverage the most benefit of this? Well, you really want to use him to place proximity mines in the path of oncoming ships is where his best use is at. Because proximity mine tokens, when a ship ends movement at distance one of them, you roll 2 blue die for every hit or critical symbol showing. You deal a face down damage card. So you have the potential of dealing 2 face down damage cards to a ship. It bypasses defense tokens, it bypasses shields, it's just straight the hull damage. And that's the power of Mart and the proximity mine token. So what's great with this is that, if a ship, for example, doesn't have the ability to really flak very well, if it's traveling at speed 2 or speed 3, like it's going to end up, usually near that token, and that's going to go off and that's going to deal some damage. Or if it's a small ship and you can correctly predict where it's going to go, I mean, when it moves into it, so it doesn't really punish fast-moving ships unless they're larges and you can really anticipate where it's coming from. But where it's super punishing is the large ships or the small ships that are wanting to travel slow because they're trying to wait. And so you just throw mine tokens from them. It's like, okay, if you want to go slow, I'm just going to keep tossing these mine tokens here. It forces your opponent to speed up to get away from them, or they're just going to eat this mine damage turn after turn after turn. And, Mart can just stay there. He can take a couple hits. He can take some flak shots if you want to send squadrons after him to kill him. It means you're dedicating time to try to kill a double brace 6-hull dude, and then your other squadrons can just eat the squadrons trying to kill him. So it's some unique play there. So that, in a nutshell, is Matt Martin's ability. Let's talk about some intricacies, though, about this. Again, what's great about his ability is that you can place, a lot of people have thought like, oh, you can't do this. You can. This is allowed. Is with his ability, you can place this mine token underneath ships. You can. That's totally legal, absolutely allowed. And how would you accomplish that? Well, on a real table, you would have to pick the ship up, measure, put the token down, put the ship back. Now, you can do that, and that's fine, but what most people are usually wanting to do is that they'll just kind of place that token just, like underneath the shield dial, things like that. They're not wanting to force a player to pick stuff up and move stuff around because, Armada is a game about precise measurements using imprecise tools. So you don't, if you want to do that to your opponent, you can, but try not to make your opponent pick up and move their ships. Don't be that guy. But yes, you can place your proximity mine tokens underneath ships. And there's an interesting ruling with this, or at least the only ruling that we have currently, is that if you do place the proximity mine token, like for example underneath the shield dial here, technically the ship is overlapping that mine token, and the ship cannot shoot the proximity mine token it is overlapping. Other ships can shoot at it, but the ship itself cannot shoot that mine token. If you want to know the reasoning for that, again, go watch my proximity mines video. It's all explained there. Well, the references and things are laid out there. What's another great thing about these mine tokens he can put down? Again, he can put them down on obstacles. He can fly up and you're like, maybe this guy's heading for the station and you can be a jerk and you can throw a mine token on there. Like, okay, well, you're going to heal on here, but guess what? You're going to take some damage from wanting to do that. And then in the terms of what resolves first, does the mine resolve first or does the station resolve first? So it goes in the shortest possible way I can explain this: ram damage, mine damage, then obstacles. Meaning that if you ram damage happens very first thing, then mines would explode, and then he would take the whole damage, and then when he landed on the station, then he can resolve the obstacle's effect, or if he's landing on another obstacle. So that's kind of the quick order of operations there. So you potentially could heal back a damage from the mine damage, but again, if you roll 2 hit or 2 criticals, he's still getting a net loss, and you're still predicting where he's going. Can you place the mines, on the dust field? Absolutely. The mines in dust fields are fantastic. Why? Because dust clouds, if a ship is attacking, if its line of sight traces over the dust field, it cannot attack anything, meaning that the mines are immune to being shot at by ships. And the only way mines can be destroyed is by ships. So that is a huge, screw you, ship. There's nothing you can do about it. You're gonna run into this mine token. Another great strategy that people like to do is put them on obstacles that are moving, like for example purgles, because the tokens do move with the obstacle. So some people will put them on a purgle. The purgle will move in front of the ship that thought it was going to be safe, and then the next turn it runs over, the mine, and the mine explodes. Totally illegal, absolutely allowed. Again, if you want to know all the intricacies for that, go watch my proximity mines video. One quick thing I want to cover though is interesting interaction between Mart Mattin and exogorphs. So exogorphs also take place at the start of the squadron phase. So what resolves first? Does Mart Mattin resolve first? Do the exogorphs resolve first? Depends on if you're first or second player. So if you're a first player, Mart Mattin, because the exogorphs start with the second player, Mart Mattin can activate and drop a mine at the start of the squadron phase before exogorphs attack. If you're the second player and you have a Mart Mattin, you choose if you want your Mart to drop his mine or if you want the exogorphs to attack first. So there's some slight intricacies there, like for example, if you're first player and you don't have a Mart Mattin, it doesn't matter. And if you're a second player, if you have Mart Mattin, typically you want to activate to drop your mine before the exogorphs then attack and hit you. Or you can take a risk and hope that they don't, so that you can then move him and fly him around, etc. But that is an interesting intricacy there for Mart Mattin I want to make sure I was covering. So again, one more time real quick. If you're a first player, you can drop your mine before exogorphs attack, because again, exogorphs attack starting with the second player, so that means it's in the second player's timing. If you're a second player, you can choose to either attack with exogorphs first or drop mine with Mart Mattin in either order. So again, that's kind of the timing windows there. If you're confused about it, or still have some questions about it, make sure to leave a comment. Otherwise, that is the YT-2400. They're fantastic little squadrons. If you feel like I missed anything or didn't cover something, please let me know in the comments. If you have some questions about why certain things are, again, I'm more than happy to explain. You guys are all fantastic, and hey, I'll catch you guys all next time.